In this video, I'm going to go over number 5 from homework 1.3a, functions given by formulas. It's on the paper homework for Math 141 pre-calculus. So we're going to look at using function notation to show how you would get each of the following functions by starting with one of these functions here, a of x equals 2x. So if I had that to start with, how would I get it to be something looking different, like if I had this? And I'll probably have to mix some things together, right? So b of x equals square root of x minus 1. c of x equals 1 over x. For example, to get f of x equals square root of x minus 2 plus 5, you would need to subtract 1 from the input of function b, this function b, and add 5 to the output. Okay, your answer would be f of x equals b times x minus 1 plus 5. And so that way, if you plugged this x minus 1 here in for x, you would get x minus 2 inside there, which is what we're looking for, and then you'd have to add 5 on to the end to make it look like this one. So it's sort of a puzzle, but it helps you to kind of roll things together and get a new function, which is a lead-in to composition that we'll do next. So if we are looking at this first one here, f of x equals x, so I know I have just an x to look at. So how would I get just a plain x out of one of these up here? So I'm going to focus on the a of x because that has just a single x involved. So what I would do is think, if a of x is 2x, let's see how that works. How could I write 2 of x and make it become x? Well, I would divide it by 2 or multiply by a half, right? Then if I simplified, I would get x. So really what I'm doing here is I am writing f of x equals half a of x. So I'm just taking this expression there and using the function notation there on it. Okay, so that would be the answer for that one. For B, same kind of thing. I'm going to look, oh, do I have anything that looks sort of like that? Well, C does. So I have B, number 5b is f of x equals 1 over x minus 3. So I have this function 1 over x, which is c of x. So I have f of x equals the function c of x. And I also need to subtract 3 from the output. So if I were to kind of work in reverse here, I would get that. If I looked up here and substituted 1 over x in there, I would get this function I started with. So that is it for part B. D, I think, is pretty straightforward. It's very similar to B, except it's using a different function. Let's do one here. Get rid of that line. We'll do C, one with the radical. So that's similar to our example. We know we have to use the b of x function. So I might start with just kind of playing around with it. F of x equals, well, what would I have to do to b of x here? So I would have to have my x have a 2 attached to it there. So I probably need to kind of roll one function into another. And this might be something where this one I would say is pretty tricky. So if you want to just skip those for now, we'll do more of those later in composition. But if I were to take b of the a of x, because I have a 2x there. So if I do b of a of x, then that will work for me, because basically what I'm doing is this is 2x, okay? So what I'm doing is substituting that in to the b function as x. So 2x minus 1. So that one might be a little tricky for now. I would say you could, you can skip that one if you want. I think that E is probably an okay one if you kind of think what would fit for that one. We would want to do the C function. Okay, so we would end up with 1 over x. What would have to go in for x to get that C function? I would have to do C of x plus 7. So I would be substituting the x plus 7 in everywhere I see x. So I'll leave the rest for you to try, but don't get too hung up on it. If it's too messy for you or not going well, we can hit that back again later and go over it. It might make more sense then. So this is just kind of a puzzly type thing to get you thinking. But if you can just do a couple of these, I think I mentioned, just do some of the homework, do like a few blocks on several of the problems. I gave some specific ones to try. This was one of the ones just to play around with, but don't spend too much time getting frustrated with it. Just try your best and see if you can figure it out, and you'll match it up to the solutions probably once you see the answer or the solution. I think you have the key, so you could probably might backwards engineer it and see what's going on. But we can talk about more of these later, but I hope that gives you the idea of at least how to start. Have a great day.